Welcome, everyone. The recording is in progress. This is Glenda Carlin, and it's February 14th, 2023. It's Valentine's Day, 2023. And if you're looking for me on Facebook, it's under Glenda Carlin Busick, B-U-S-I-C-K. You can private message me there and ask any questions or ask me to forward you the advanced forgiveness document I designed from the course and Gary Renard's books, Disappearance in the Universe, etc. Welcome, welcome, welcome. First thing I like to do is welcome in Holy Son of God Keith, Holy Son of God Barbie, Holy Son of God Rob, Holy Son of God Nance, Holy Son of God Gonzalo, Holy Son of God Angela, Holy Son of God Leon, Holy Son of God Danelle, Holy Son of God Susan, Holy Son of God Glenda. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming out tonight, everyone. It's so wonderful to see your shining faces. It's great. Oh, we want to invite in Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, enlightened beings, ascended masters. Be here. You're always here. You're always around, but they will never intrude. We invite them in. I ask you to guide me what to do or say, and for the insights to happen, and for us just to have fun. Thank you for always being here, always wanting to help us. And because it's Valentine's Day, let's take a moment and just silently think about all the people in our life that we're so thankful to have, and our parents and grandparents. Just think back. What's had to happen for us to be here? Oh my goodness. Of course, it's an illusion, but like Jesus says in A Course in Miracles, the illusion that'll get us out of the illusion is advanced forgiveness. And when we're practicing the Course, for me, I practice the middle way. I still balance my budget, go to the grocery store, visit my doctor, but when I'm doing it, I'm asking the Holy Spirit to be with me. Practicing advanced forgiveness on people in the waiting room, or my doctor, or the people at the grocery store. And so often as I can remember, that's the purpose, is to see our brothers as spirit, not bodies. But anyway, in this illusion, there's all these lineage of relatives. And we just thank them for being there, because we could be born in any country, we could be any ethnic group. And just picture, it's a fact. In the illusion, there's racism. Wow. Bless people's hearts that aren't white, because people can be so mean, and even they can be mean to white people, but people can be so mean to each other. So we just are very thankful for our lineage, and for the ability to just, this is something to have a home, a safe home, a computer, a Zoom app, cell phones, drinking fresh water in our house, plumbing in our house. Like Lama Surya says, sometime when he visited India and Tibet, they didn't have hot water day and night. They didn't have indoor restrooms. I mean, it was no furnaces. I mean, it was cold. For those people that were seeking the truth, they were making journeys before Zoom, before YouTube, before podcast, before email, cell phones. To make a call, you had to go find a phone booth somewhere. Oh man, just how primitive things have been, and how luxurious, what a life we have. But of course, this is karma. Our past lives and what you've done in this lifetime brings you to this moment of peace and love that you're in now. So we're very, very thankful for, what's showing up around us, but we're working on our minds. As Jesus says in the Course, I found that again. This is a course in mind training. That's chapter 1, section 7, paragraph 4. This is a course in mind training. Now tonight's topic, I had no idea that it was going to be this, and that it was affiliated with love and the heart, the heart mind, because it's dawned on me recently, our mind is what we perceive things with and what we project things with, right? Well, with our mind, we can be loving, we can have loving thoughts, or we can have hateful thoughts. So that's why I recognize in Dzogchen that Lama Surya Das calls it heart mind, because heart dash mind, because it's both of them working together. And as we practice Jesus's Course in Miracles, these lessons are, we're undoing these separate egoic thoughts to become more virtuous and loving and kind and peaceful and calm. We get these attributes, these qualities, which are Christ and Buddha qualities. We're coming back home to our Christ Buddha nature, our natural loving self. Okay. All right. So here's, and again, another thing that keeps happening is getting deeper in my mind is the synchronicity or the divine order of everything. I mean, it's just, it can look like some things are bad and it looks like things are good, but there's a divine order. There's a flow to this. If we let things flow, come and go without attachment and aversion, then, and we're aware, then we can use what shows up in front of our face to help free us more and more from thinking we're separate from God. Now, why I'm bringing that up is besides the Course, you all know I practice Dzogchen, D-Z-O-G-C-H-E-N, Buddhism, with this Lama Surya Das, and there's different groups. They're called sanghas, groups I meditate daily with, and then there's a town hall meditation, then there's workshops where you meet up with people in groups. But then he talks about books, and here's a book called Magic and Ritual of Tibet, Magic and Ritual in Tibet. And that book talks about, it's called Tara, T-A-R-A. And to me, this Tara is like Holy Spirit, in that it's just super, you can turn to it. It gives you solace, you can rest in it. It's like Holy Spirit. And these are just words, placeholders, because in all religions, they call God different things. Source, origin of all things, emptiness, vastness, spaciousness, love, light, but it's just a placeholder. Well, anyway, so this book, I was reading in this book, and it has exercises. And so I'm really good at visualizing. And what I've heard is it's easier for people that can visualize versus ones that can just read words and can't really visualize what the words are wanting them to see. And that's why I talk about having experiences. Jesus says, and of course, it's the experience we're after. So you just stay patient, keep practicing. But the big thing is to apply it, integrate it into your daily life. So anyway, there's this lesson, this exercise, and it was about the heart. And years I've explained that when I studied only the Course, I really didn't want to hear a damn thing about the body, the heart, because that I thought was ego. That was ego, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I was just in on taking care of this mind. Well, I finally realized in the awakening, the body's an image in the mind, and as the mind gets illumined, the body gets illumined, but we practice the heart in the form, it's where all love and hate get stored. It's physically gets stored in there. The issues we have with our relatives, relationships, our jobs, our bosses, all that stored in your heart. So we just so we're just going to kind of forget that the body is an illusion. We're working on waking up from the illusion. And one way to do it is love. So the heart. So anyway, it had this exercise of the heart where it was a wheel. You hear of a mandala, a wheel. That's just representative of the universe, of all the universes, all the bodies, all humanity are in this mandala, and it's turning, it's rotating. It just is symbolic of all animate and inanimate things. Well, the exercise had that there would be 3 rims, and the rims, one moved clockwise and 2 of them moved counterclockwise, and the center had a nave or a center. All I want to explain to you is I could actually practice what it said. And and see, this is done with your Christ mind. This is done with your Buddha mind, where you kind of lean back and you're visualizing this light and this movement. And before I knew it, the heart took over like a vortex. You know, if you see a tornado, if you look down in the tornado, there'd be a turning in the top of the tornado, and you look down in it, there's a tube, and at the end of the tube, you know, it touches the ground. Well, the heart is turning like that. Your heart is a vortex of light and energy. And before I knew it, I could see down in that vortex to the little point, that's like a dot. That's like the beginning of the mad idea, where the Son of God had a thought, and then whoosh, out formed the universes. Well, whoosh is the tornado, is this vortex of all this energy and light, and within it is all animate and inanimate objects. Anyway, so this exercise has the person visualize radiating light out into the universe. Now, oh, golly gee, I did that. I saw my light go out in, and see how when you visualize the universe, there's stars, there's planets, there's Milky Way. It's just it extends. So I just let my light extend out there. And then the exercise has you bring back the universe back into your heart. And oh boy, gee, I could do that. I brought it back into my heart. And that's when the whole universe went down into that tip, that little point, the little point that's the beginningless beginning. And there was just this love, is all I can say. Now, okay, so I thought, well, I didn't really know the significance of this, but as I prepared for this talk, I searched the course for heart, and projection, and universe, and world. And I came up with paragraphs where Jesus is asking you to do this exercise. Is welcome in the stranger, welcome in the world to your heart, to the light. Because what I realize has happened, we can talk about this, we can read about it, but when we had the single mad idea, we no longer were in union with all our brothers in the Garden of Eden. With that mad idea, we were a body, then the mind projected, pushed all these images, thoughts out, and made the universe. Before it did that, it was all just living in the heart, living in the love of the Christ love mind, heart mind, right? So we have projected these images, and then we label them. We label some of them as bad, evil, horrible. We label some as good. That's ego. We're sorting and labeling all these projected images. And I'm going to read this paragraph. This is lesson 188 in the course. What Jesus wants us to do is take responsibility for what we've done. And he wants you to bring all your projections back to your heart mind. Bring them back in. So I'm going to just read it. And it's miraculous. I have to tell you this, it becomes miraculous because you're no longer seeing the universe as separate from you, Seeing your brothers in their bodies is separate from you. We're all one in this heart space of love, even though they're in bodies, their spirit, and there's oneness. You then see oneness. You're no longer seeing separate bodies. It's a transition that happens. Okay, so it's 188, and I want to read this. Where's 180? Here it is. Here it is. Here. Oh, so I want to summarize what happened. So I radiated light, the light that's invisible, clear light. I radiated it from my heart out into the universe. I saw the universe all lit up with light, this light, love light, it's God light. Then I brought back, reabsorbed, brought back that lit up universe into my heart. Just brought it back. And here's what Jesus says. Call them back. That's what I'm not talking about here. Call them back and wash them clean of strange desires. See what happens? You're washing them clean because you've radiated your light out on them. The Christ Buddha light that's real, that they don't remember that's them. And then you bring them all back lit up as their Christ spirit self, Buddha spirit, God self. And I was going to read this whole lesson. I may read this whole lesson after I do this paragraph. And wash them clean of strange desires. We let the light within our minds direct them to come home. See, I'm just saying it's heart mind. Come on back home, boys, girls, boys, toys, doggies, everything animate, and then come on back home. And the home is love. Love is your natural inheritance. That's what we are. But it's also light, called love. The light gets all absorbed and filled with love. It's love light. But anyway, come on back home to your heart to love. We have betrayed them, ordering that they depart from us. See, that's what's happened, right? So we projected out the universe, projected them separate, apart from us. But now we call them back and wash them clean. Here again is that same thing, strange desires and disordered wishes. We restore to them the holiness of their inheritance. Thus are our minds restored with them. And I'm going to say heart minds. And we acknowledge that the peace of God still shines in us and from us to all living things that share our life. So the peace of God, which is also the light, the love, still shines in us and from us to all living things that share our life. We will forgive them all. Now, there it is. We will forgive them all. Now, what's Jesus's advanced forgiveness is look past the body to the spirit that they are. So when you project your light out there, you're seeing them as spirit, as light. You project them, the light, you radiate, extend out the light into the universe, and then you bring it all back. You're forgiving them. They don't know what they do because you don't know what you do, and we've been ignorant about what the hell we've been doing. They sure as hell don't know what they're doing. Most of them. Absolving all the world from what we thought it did to us. Look at that sentence. Absolving all the world from what we thought it did to us. For it is we who make the world as we would have it. Now we choose that it be innocent, devoid of sin, and open to salvation. Now, here's where I want to say, I realize I've been wrong. I've been wrong to not love all these people in physical bodies and to actually say I love you to ego. And why that came up was why this started even before this book. All this kind of happened within a 2-week time frame. And I kind of talked about it last week is in that Dzogchen meditation group that I meditate each day, generally each day with Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, I meditate with Lama Surya Das's town hall group. It's free. These are all free meditations. The leader that coordinated that group, Timo Speckens, He leads the group typically on Wednesday, and in meditation. He had us visualize a 5-year-old, our 5-year-old, and he called it wounded self, 5-year-old wounded self, and embrace it and love it. And when he said that, because see, you're in meditation, when he said that, I heard ego go, well, nothing happened to you at 5 years old. There's nothing for you to, be wounded about, because that's what he called it, wounded self. And real quick, my Christ Buddha mind said, well, wait a minute. I know enough that ego has knee-jerk negative reactions generally to most everything. And where do those reactions get stored? In the unconscious mind. And so I don't know what's got put in my unconscious mind. So I'm just going to embrace. And so within my arms, I remembered a picture of me and my twin. I had a fraternal twin when we were 5 years old. I pictured that little girl. I held her, embraced within my embraced arms, and said, I love you. I love you. And then I put within my arms, I visualized all 5-year-olds throughout the universe. Now, you can't picture all of them, but it's the intent. I put all of them in my arms and I said, I love you. And then we just continued on with the meditation. Now, if a person does this, what can happen, there could have been physical and mental abuses of a child. So if a person has any inkling of that, they may want to get psychological supportive help, because sometimes this isn't as easy as it could seem, because ego really gets wrapped up into these things, and you may need help unraveling, unlearning some of these as you practice your Course in Miracles. So get supportive help. So I kind of just let that go. You with me? I let that go. But during meditation, the following, I forget if it was during the next night and morning or the next day or morning, I woke up thinking about the little 5-year-old child and about I love you, and about the significance that ego does all these knee-jerk judgments that go right into the unconscious mind. And so by saying I love you to the little child, this is huge, because I had ignored that the little child needed embrace and love, and that the egoic self needs to be loved as an adult body as well, needs that love, and unconditional love is what I'm talking about here now. Holy, divine, Christ love, which is acceptance of yourself, no matter what the hell happened in your childhood, middle years, adult years, your now years. We all are doing the best we can. That's the bottom line. And then you just let go. But if you're not careful, ego just keeps judging it. But by bringing love to, that's what brought me around to want to express that part of the journey of awakening and enlightenment is to love yourself unconditionally. And when you can do that, and then if you can embrace others unconditionally and practice thinking about the whole universe, putting your light out there, radiating your light out, and then bringing back all your projections into your heart, what you're doing, you're loving things unconditionally, and you're bringing everything back home. And I realized when I do that, then I just take a deep breath in and out, going deep breath in, and I say, ah, and I relax. And then I lean back and I rest, meaning I lean back and I rest kind of in this vast expansiveness that it looks like emptiness, but it contains everything. It's spaciousness. I lean back, it'll support you. And then I just hold the whole universe, you know, not always saying I love you to it, but shining my light through it and letting it rest. Because that's what we want to do in meditation, is rest our weary hearts and minds, because we've been doing instead of being. And we want to support each other, but we let them rest. Just bring them back, call them back in, and let them rest in your arms. This is just, it became my heart opened more. My heart vortex opened more. And that's part of the awakening process, to love unconditionally, but doesn't mean that you're psychological or physical doormats to anybody or anything. We still have ground rules in our house. You call 911 if you need to, you know, and then whenever, as soon as you can, you practice advanced forgiveness on all the people involved in it. And things may happen in your life that you need to move or be separate from family for a while, or whatever you need to do. You're trying to take care of your own self as you unfold in the awakening of yourself while you live this life, while you live a life of, if you currently still have a job, or your family members, or cleaning your house, it's called a dance with life. And in moment to moment nowness awareness, you lean back and recognize and look out and see this clear light, or the spirit that's here in among your day. That's the part of the awakening. But this was life-changing, and another huge part of the awakening process. And let's see what else Jesus says. What you project, you disown. And see, that's why you're bringing it back in to your heart. This is in, where is this? This is in, what page is this on? Page 3. The chapter 6, section 2, paragraph 2. What you project, you disown, and therefore do not believe is yours. So we projected the universe. You don't think any of that stuff's yours. Not mine. I didn't do all that. Now, granted, you're not responsible for each person's karma and actions, but that's the collective ego. But these projections, where we take responsibility, we believe they're out there, they're projections, they're not part of me, I don't love them, they're not Christ, they're not Buddha, and see this, they're not God, because God, Jesus says in the Course, call yourself by the name you are, which is God. But anyway, we have the power of God mind, so we created this universe of these forms. Everything was hunky-dory in the Garden of Eden until we labeled it as bad, and that thought we were imprisoned in a body. Then all this drama of dualism started. But you, therefore, what you project, you disown, therefore do not believe is yours. You are excluding yourself by the very judgment that you are different from the one on whom you project. Since you've also judged against what you project, you continue to attack it because you continue to keep it separated. By doing this, see, this is all unconsciously, he says, you try to keep the fact that you attacked yourself out of awareness, and thus imagine that you have made yourself safe. So just project it all out there. I'm fine, it's hunky-dory, it's them that's the problem. But see, that separation, they're not separate from you. Yet projection, Jesus goes on and says, will always hurt you. It reinforces your belief in your own split mind, and its only purpose is to keep the separation going. And see, that's what's beautiful about this practice, and it's also called faking it while you make it. I know y'all won't believe this, but if you just practice, that your heart is open like a huge cave. Your heart's bigger than all the universes, really is. Just you project, extend, whatever word, radiate out light, and see it go through all the universes, and then see everything just pull Just pull it, all the forms with the light back to your heart and let it just rest there for a little bit. But then go about your day. You're then calling back this universe, all your projections. The ego uses projection only to destroy your perception of both yourself and your brothers. See, that's it. We projected the images out there. They're not really out there. They're in your heart mind. And now you're bringing them all back home to rest in love. The process begins by excluding something that existed you, but which you do not want, and leads directly to excluding you from your brothers. He's just talking about projection. There's another, let's see, you cannot be anywhere God did not put you, and God created you as part of him. That is both where you are and what you are. So now you're in God, they're all in God, we just don't remember it. Truth lies only in its perfect inclusion. Now that's another beautiful word I found here, inclusion. INCLUSION, inclusion in him who alone is perfect. So you're calling back in all the universes, you're including them into your heart space, inclusion. To deny this, that all your brothers are in perfect inclusion, is to deny yourself and him, meaning your brothers, since it is impossible to accept one without the other. Yeah, you're accepting yourself, but you're accepting your brothers too. Let's see if I can find some more. And here Jesus talks about the peace of God is shining in you now. You can call that love. From your heart extends around the world. See, he's wanting you to do this visualization. Always extends around the world. And I'm saying take it through all the universes. The shining in your mind reminds the world of what it has forgotten. So when you radiate this light, you're touching these people's heart minds, and we have no idea when they'll ever remember what they are. But he says here, that reminds the world of what it's forgotten. And the world restores their memory to you as well. From your salvation radiates with gifts beyond all measure, given and returned. To you, the giver, see, you're the giver of the gift. Does God himself give thanks? And in his blessing, does the light in you shine brighter, adding to the gifts you have to offer to the world? So as you practice this, the light gets brighter in you as well, because you can't give what you don't have. I mean, this is just, I got more quotes here, but anybody got a question or a thought? He said he had a question or a thought, a comment and I'll read some more. I may read the whole workbook, lesson 188. Okay, Barbie, you go first. You unmute. Can you have to unmute, honey.
I didn't hear. Are you supposed to embrace your ego?
Yes, that's what we're doing. That's what I was wrong about.
Why?
Because we made it up, just like we made up the universe of all these forms and things. They're all forms of ego. Embrace it because we made it up, and it's only we've labeled it as bad and caused all the chaos. But in essence, ego's not good or bad. It's just a creation of our Christ mind.
So could you talk to your ego?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I talk to my ego and tell it I'm not going to do that. When it gives me a thought to go, I'm not doing that.
No, because like I said, I was sick for 2 weeks really bad. And I called in the ego and I said, why do you want to kill me? Never got an answer.
Well, see, that's ego's job. Once we made up ego, that's the job it has.
Yeah,
so
but he never answered me back.
Well, of course he will never answer you that. That will never answer you that. And when we're ill, we call on Holy Spirit. And I would recommend that we don't make ego real by asking, why do you want to kill me?
Well,
I mean,
I called him in and asked him that. But then Holy Spirit, I heard a voice saying, that I'm here with you. And and then he says, just drink water. And that's it. And after 2 weeks, now it's been 4 weeks and I'm like halfway there. I'm over my sickness, but I'm still not all the way there.
Of
But
course.
at least I'm on this talk with you guys. I miss this.
Oh, we missed you too, Barbie. Like I said, I'm glad I got your cell number now because I thought about you and I prayed. I would visualize you and see you as spirit, as Christ. And I was hoping I'd get to see you soon. Now let's go back here. Now, we have labeled ego as bad. We've done this. So we're calling ego back in to our heart, to there's only love is real. Only love is real. That's all that's real. So we're calling back in all our projections, and ego is our projection. Back to our heart, lighting it fully up with light and love. I love you. That's why Lama Surya Das many times will go, can you love the things you hate? Well, I didn't even want to think about that. But then I finally had to sit with it because I was irritated by it. And I realized when I'm irritated, then that's something I need to sit with and ask Holy Spirit to help me. What was I irritated about? Then I had to recognize there were things I hated. And they're unconscious. We so knee-jerk quickly label and hate or like things. But then Holy Spirit showed me things I hated. And I said, I love you. To each one of these things that I thought I hated. I love you. I love you. I love you. Every time they came up and I wrote it, I journaled it. I wrote it down. I looked at a piece of paper and I said it. I faked it while I was making it. And ultimately, I loved everything that I hated. I did not love the actions of the people. Just let that go. But I love them, their essence, their Christ spirit, their form that shows up right there in front of my face. I love you. I love you. I'm not sorting between their form and their Christ mind. I love you. I love you, and later I will think of them as spirit. So I'm changing what I'm telling you about because I realize and this is what Jesus is asking. See, and when you're ready, then you find it in the course that explains, call them all back home. Because I have rejected the universe, rejected these beings, their bodies, they're not real. Of course, they're in the illusion, but I projected them, made them real, bring them back home to love. And that softens them, like Jesus just said, and it softens and opens our heart to the love that we are too. We don't condone the behavior, of course, and I still donate and do things to help the environment and different things, don't condone war, none of that stuff, but the beings, we bring them all back home. I'll read now. Any other questions or thoughts? I'll read workbook lesson 188 here. Keith, did you have that question or you want to do it later? Or did I answer?
Later, please.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to read workbook lesson 188. And the title of it is The Peace of God is Shining in Me Now. Why wait for heaven? Those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes. The light is in them now. Enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all. Light is not of the world. And see, that's your heart, your Christ Buddha heart. That light and love is not of the world that I'm talking about here, that we're extending it. If you haven't maybe experienced it that fully yet. So that's why it's faking it while you make it. But that light's in your heart and your mind, that your Christ Buddha light that you can radiate out. And now when I'm thinking about, here's a story that the Lama Surya Das says. We'll have hundreds, if not thousands, of light experiences as you wake up. So I don't want ego to have you stop on your journey, you thinking you're enlightened or awakened when you're not completely, because it's a process. Now you could just wham right through the whole process, but it's a deepening. But here's a great illustration. It's called Don't Have Premature Immaculation. Ego would love you to think I'm away, and then you stop your practice, you stop integrating this, living it. And I continue to practice. Let true lessons to bed with me with a flashlight, and I'll read them in the night. I walk with lessons and contemplate when I meditate when I walk. I mean, this is a mind training. We are mind training. But here's the example. If any of you have ever canned like pickles, what's a pickle? You pickle a pickle, you put it in that vinegar or wherever you put it in. You can't just dip that pickle down in there and it's going to automatically be pickled in a day. It takes a process. It takes a while for that pickle to absorb all that vinegar and all those spices. And that's what I'm talking about here. By practicing, what I mean is we're not just saying words. You've got them on sticky notes, piece of paper, and you're applying them to your life during the day. You are integrating this into your daily life. That's called practicing. As you do that, then you're pickling yourself. You're absorbed a little bit in that truth. Then you do some more, and then you contemplate it, you rest in it, and then you go again with another truth. It's a process, a pickling. You're going through a pickling. But anyway, the light is in them now. Enlightenment is but a recognition. The light is not of the world, yet you who bear the light in you are alien here as well. The light came with you from your native home and stayed with you because it is your own. See, that light's in your heart mind. It is the only thing you bring with you from him who is your source. That's why you're going to radiate it. You're going to radiate this light. It shines in you because it lights your home and leads you back to where it came from, and you are at home. That your heart becomes a heart cave. It's huge. It becomes your home. You get settled in it. You're resting in it. You're living from that place of love. That's what I'm talking about here. That's what Jesus is talking about here. It shines on you, in you, because it lights your home. This light cannot be lost. The peace of God is shining in you now, and from your heart, here he goes. And from your heart extends around the world. So, your heart, that muscle down here, that's what you're going to picture your heart extending out from. It pauses to caress each living thing. Wow. And leaves a blessing with it that remains forever and forever. Wow. See, I kind of missed that. Is as you radiate that light through the whole universe, it caresses each living thing and leaves a blessing with it that remains forever and forever. Now, wow, forever, that brings tears to your eyes, and forever. What it gives must be eternal. It removes all thoughts of the ephemeral and valueless. It brings renewal to all tired hearts and lights all vision as it passes by. Wow. As you radiate that light through all those planets, all those Milky Ways, all those solar systems, it removes all thoughts of the ephemeral and valueless. It brings renewal to all tired hearts and lights all vision as it passes by. Your light is passing by because your light's radiating through all the universes. All of its gifts are given everyone, and everyone unites in giving thanks to you who give and you who have received. The shining in your mind reminds the world of what it has forgotten, and the world restores the memory to you as well. So as you do this, you're going to remember what you are more and more. From you, salvation radiates with gifts beyond all measure, given and returned. To you, the giver of the gift, does God himself give thanks. And in his blessing, does the light in you shine brighter, adding to the gifts you have to offer the world. So you're offering all this to the world, to all the universes. The peace of God can never be contained. Who recognizes it within himself must give it. See, that's what I want you to, we haven't recognized it yet, but you can. It just believe that in your heart is peace and the light and love of God, and you're Christ. He, that's God, forgives because he recognized the truth in him. The peace of God is shining in you now and in all living things. In quietness is it acknowledged universally. Now see, when you radiate from the heart out through those universe, just take that deep breath in and exhale, say no, and just pause there to see it says in quietness is it acknowledged universally. Then you in a second can just recognize what it says here, acknowledge that light you've extended universally. It's just huge. For what your inward vision looks upon is your perception of the universe. So when you're radiating this light, you're changing how you think about the universe. Your unconscious mind's thinking about it as light. You're bringing in the lit up universe back into your heart. It says here, for what your inward vision, meaning when your eyes are closed, you're thinking about your heart space, your light radiating out, and then that's an inward vision. You're seeing that light, faking it while you make it, that clear light, can be white light, whatever you want to do. Looks upon is your perception of the universe. So sit quietly and close your eyes. The light within you is sufficient. It alone has power to give the gift of sight to you. Exclude the outer world and let your thoughts fly to the peace within. They know the way, for honest thoughts, untainted by the dream of worldly things outside you, become the holy messengers of God himself. These thoughts you think with him, they recognize their home, and they point surely to their source, where God the Father and the Son are one. And that is back in your heart space, the heart cave, love, light. That's the home. That's the inward journey within to that space, that vast spaciousness of love and light, peace. They lead you back to peace from where they came, but to remind you how you must return. They heed your Father's voice when you refuse to listen. You see. They remind you that you are the co-creator of all things that live. For as the peace of God is shining in you, it must shine on them. We practice coming nearer to the light in us today. We take our wandering thoughts. Now, the wandering thoughts are all these thoughts about the universe and all these images, and gently bring them back to where they fall in line with all the thoughts you share with God. We will not let them stray. We let the light within our minds direct them to come home. The thoughts, the forms, the bodies. We have betrayed them, ordering that they depart from us. But now we call them back and wash them clean of strange desires and disordered wishes. We restore to them the holiness of their inheritance. Thus are our minds restored with them, and we acknowledge that the peace of God still shines in us and from us to all living things that share our life. We will forgive them all, absolving all the world from what we thought it did to us. For it is we who make the world as we would have it. Now we choose that it be innocent, devoid of sin, and open to salvation. And we lay our saving blessing on it, as we say, the peace of God is shining in me now. Let all things shine upon me in that peace, and let me bless them with the light in me. Whoa. So see, we bringing them all back in to absolve them of all the sins we think they've done. Wow, it's very powerful. Woo! I'm telling you, this is really a powerful, powerful thing that we have no idea what we're doing when we extend, radiate out this light and bring our brothers or bring the universe back to our mind. Wow. I had no idea. Oh gosh, guys. Well, we're close to, so let's select. We can do everybody on the screen. We can practice. Let's just practice sitting here and radiate light out from your heart to all these people on the screen. You just radiate light out and then see all the people are lit up and we just bring them back into our heart. It's just an exercise of truth. We extend our light out and then whoosh, we just bring all the forms and we bring them back into our heart and just let them rest there. And see, when we bring them back in their bodies, their images. And let them rest because we've all been doing our doings, working, planning, cleaning, cooking, all the things we're doing. We just rest. And then we can even just say to each person, let's acknowledge them. Holy Son of God, Keith. Holy Son of God, Barbie. Holy Son of God, Rob. Holy Son of God, Nance. Holy Son of God, Gonzalo. Holy Son of God, Leon. Holy Son of God, Joanne. Holy Son of God, Danelle. Holy Son of God, Angela. Holy Son of God, Susan. Holy Son of God, Julia. Holy Son of God, Debbie. Thank you, thank you. Holy Son of God, Glenda. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Any other thoughts or comments? Gonzalo, you have anything before I shut down the recording tonight? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, sure. I was just typing in that it's so important to talk to ourselves, coach ourselves, to ask for guidance. Because as you say, and there's that book that I talked about, The Law of One, reiterates over and over and over how God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, all the ascended masters will absolutely not interfere with our free will. So we want to continue our ego patterns and keep continuing destructive thinking, which puts us in destructive physical situations, then it's going to let us do that because it will completely honor our free will. But if we do the practice when the ego doesn't want us to practice, including asking for guidance and coaching ourselves to walk through those down moments, because the ego wants us to stay stuck, sulking, being depressed, being angry. The ego wants us to stay stuck in that. The longer we stay stuck in that darkness, then touchdown for the ego. That's how it stays in charge. That's how it's built up our investment in it, because we feel like we're prisoner to our emotional state, that the emotions become the reality. So for us to break through that prison wall, it is so important, like you said, Glenda, to walk ourselves through, talk to ourselves, coach ourselves, to ask for help. Ask for help. Whoever you pray to, it doesn't matter. Just ask to somebody, some being out there that you relate to walk us through to the light. And the mere intention of asking when the ego wants us to stay grounded and stuck in it, that at the moment, as you said, or often say, it doesn't seem like anything's happened. It's like, I'm just saying words and just kind of saying a prayer or mantra. It doesn't seem like anything's going on. But it, as you say, when we do that through that ego distortion, the Holy Spirit and Jesus is working at a level that we are not aware of. It is working at a level that is completely unconscious to us at this level. So we won't really know, what's going, we won't really feel any different, while we're going through the crapper right away. But if we keep doing that, keep training ourselves to train our minds to the Holy Spirit and Jesus, what'll happen eventually you'll start to see the light through those moments to where they don't have quite as much power as they used to have over us. But we've got to do the work during the thick of it to really feel the benefit of how, our minds can start to lighten up. So
Now stay there, Gonzalo, but yes, huge. That was a couple of weeks ago that I talked about will, and Jesus, it's your will is as powerful as God's, because you are God, and they will not interfere. And that's keeps us stuck in the egoic destructive path. But so that's the self-talk. Like our ego will have some comment and I'll go, well, I'm not doing that. I know, Holy Spirit, you help me. And that's like what Barbie's talking about here. When she was ill, she heard ego saying things. We just deny what ego's saying. I'm not doing that. But then say, I love you. Don't say I hate you, ego, because that makes ego real. That's what I'm finally grasping is we are love. Everything that shows up is called a natural great perfection. It's all here flowing, coming and going. And what's things that could look bad could be the thing that stops a person in their tracks where they turn within and they go, there's got to be a better way, or help me, Holy Spirit. And they become even stronger than they were before in faith or devotion or their path. But I'm wishing everybody well and not having any negative things occur, but suffering happens. It's like, what's that thing? Pain's inevitable, but suffering's optional. It's how we look at the things. It's not how the cards were dealt, but how we play them. But the thing is, it's I love you to everything, because it's unconditional love. That's what holy love is. God loved us so much, we could go off in this tantrum, make a false world, make a false ego, and with unconditional love, he's off letting us do whatever the hell we want. Unconditional love. He will not interfere with you. Well, we're having unconditional love, but I don't have to agree with what the people are doing. I can forgive them, but not invite them to Thanksgiving dinner. And I don't want to go to war with them, move or whatever I need guided to do. But I love you is the answer. That's the thing with the Lama Surya Das said, can you love the things you hate? And I had no idea the magnitude of this, and acknowledging that I created with the collective ego, all the projections, the whole world, and it's my perception of the world. Do I love the universe? Do I love it? Is it filled with light and God? Is it spirit filled with radiating light, love, and God, or not? And bring it back, bring my projections back to my heart. It's powerful. It's powerful without condoning any of this negative egoic behavior.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, a lot of confusion about that. Well, you're saying I love the actual, action that's going on or the behavior. And it's not, he's not saying that at all. He's saying that he's saying we simply acknowledge the presence of God everywhere. And if we simply acknowledge or practice acknowledging, even when we don't believe it, then the behaviors little by little will start to soften, our own and others, all the attachment to guilt and shame and fear. Eventually they'll start to soften. So it's a lot of times that for me, for a long time, saying love seemed really not sincere, because I was so conditioned with the idea of love being conditional here in the world. So that didn't really work for me for a while. So once I found the reference to light, that seemed more usable for me, to refer to the light of God or presence of light or whatever. And all of this, that sound more usable, because the human love reference for me was really, it didn't seem sincere to say love. Human. So that worked for me.
And that's not the love I'm talking about. You're right, Gonzalo. That is not the love I'm talking about. I'm not talking about human love. I'm talking about holy God love that loves everything unconditionally. I don't condone the actions of war and killing and all that. And that's not what I'm talking about. But we are love. And therefore it's either love or the call for love. That's what Jesus teaches. But I hadn't got it. I really hadn't got what that means. Wow. But yeah, and you find your own way to do this. But I highly recommend, ask yourself, can you love the things you hate? And journal, be honest, don't deny the things you hate, because you cannot hate anything and be in heaven, in nirvana. You cannot come home with
And I
thoughts
think
of separation from your brothers and hating
you're,
them.
like you were saying, like at a most basic level, even here in the human illusion, we have to accept our personal, physical, individual identity where we are. Everything,
Yes, yes,
all the stories that we're sharing,
yes.
like the stuff that we want to acknowledge. Can I love all the crap that I hate about myself?
Because
You know?
those are judgments. Those are judgments that ego's done. We have agreed with, and who, they're all really neutral. The ego gets us to judge them and then stacks them in the unconscious mind, and we don't want to look at them. It's far out. It is far out to accept yourself for where you're at. Everything's perfect just as it is. And that's why it's called not having attachment or aversion, because that means I want to change something. I don't like it. I want that different, or I love it. I want to keep it here. That's called keep it permanent. When everything's changing, then I'm attached to it. Attachment and pushing it or loving it, bringing it to me or pushing it back and forth. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about unconditional love, letting things come and go while you're practicing Jesus's advanced forgiveness, having Holy Spirit guide me what to do or say, but yet not being a doormat. You never, ever put yourself in harm's way. Never walk out in front of a car. We're not talking about stupid stuff that ego, listen to what ego says and doing it. That's not what I'm talking about. We made ego just part of but we labeled it good and bad. Ego's just part of this deal, form, just part of the form. But anyway, well put. Now, Keith's got a question here, or his hand up.
Yes, I have two questions. One is housekeeping like, and the other is about the course.
First was about what now?
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping, yeah.
Can you tell me about March? What's ahead of us for you and Sally in March?
Oh yeah, March. Thank you.
You're welcome.
First, the retreat got canceled. It'll probably be rescheduled, and then but Sally will be here March 7th. And the rest of the times in March, I will be here. So there'll always be a Zoom meeting, 7 Eastern time, whatever time zone you're in, on Tuesday evening, until this retreat happens, or whenever there's a one-day retreat that I'm involved in, there won't be a group the following Tuesday, but that's happening in May, so I won't bring that up now. Is that good?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. The other thing was, the course uses a lot of words often. So it repeats words often, such as love, happiness, truth. And, to me, it makes sense in the course. If you want to reinforce something, you want to repeat it. You want to say it often. But the opposite of that is not talking about something very often. For example, the word compassion is only used once in the course. Now, the word compassion is used as sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. And the use of the one time in the course is only the sane can look on stark insanity and raving madness and with pity and compassion, but not with fear. What's your theory on why something like compassion would only not be reinforced?
Now read that again. Read again the compassion thing.
Only the sane can look on stark insanity and raving madness with pity and compassion, but not with fear.
Oh, so Jesus is saying, look at this with pity and compassion. Where is that, Keith? That you're reading?
Well, but Glenda, the point is, it's only used.
Well, but I know, I was just wanting to know, but you can email me.
And
But
it's
see,
not-
he's,
it's not used in the common sense that we use it. You know, you have a car accident, I have compassion for you getting hurt. He's not even using it in that sense.
well, how I use it and live it is that my brother's ignorant. He didn't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't realize there's another way to live and think, and that he's a Christ, a Buddha, God. So I have empathy and compassion when he does stupid stuff. He's ignorant of his real self. And who am I to be a damn effing horrible person and go, well, you deserve that shit. You did that, you know, you're ignorant. You're... Who's that going to hurt?
But if
That
Jesus,
that hurts me.
but if Jesus mentions love hundreds of times, why would only mention compassion?
I
once?
can't answer that. I can't answer that. So each person within their own heart has to answer how they're going to feel about their brothers when they do something dumb or they start a war. Am I going to be empathetic and compassionate and look past their actions to the spirit they are and wish them well, and that they be happy? I mean, that to me is the crux of my whole heart, being love and being open, is to have compassion and empathy and wish people well and bless them. That's love to me. That's why love is there so much, I think.
The only thing I could come up with is that because we're whole, why would we need compassion?
Well, in the awakening, we need it because we don't believe we're whole. That's why people will say, well, people will say to me, well, I don't know why we're practicing forgiveness. We're perfect and whole. And I go, well, hold it. You think you're a body. You're experiencing you're a body. Therefore, Jesus takes you where you think you are. You're a body. You're experiencing your body. We're going to look past the body to the spirit that you are. And then he goes about changing all your virtues, changing how we think, where we're loving and kind and empathetic and compassionate to our brothers because they know not what they do. You know, if that helped.
Thank you very much.
But love's the way.
Right.
Love is the way. Yes, go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Keith, that I feel Jesus is telling us that because he focuses on very few words to describe actually what we need to focus and practice toward, he's trying to, number one, simplify things away from our analytical mind of, you know, what is compassion and, you know, what is these concepts. But he does mention kind and gentle repeatedly throughout the course, because I feel, at least for me, kind and gentle is a lot more simple than saying compassion. Because here in the world, the ego's gotten a hold of compassion, being like, you should be compassionate, you should be nice. There's a lot of egoic attachment to the eyes in the world of compassion, being nice, you know, treating somebody good. Those are general terms that the ego's hijacked because we've attached a lot of guilt and obligation to those ideas. So I feel he's telling us, he wants us to narrow in on a few ideas like love, being kind and gentle, simply to be just more clear with what the ideas are. Now, they're still words, they're still concepts, and we don't get them really until we feel them and experience them. But I think it's very intentional on his part to simplify our practice.
Well put, Gonzalo. Keith, that was a good question. Ego's hijacked compassion, hasn't it? And an obligation, but kind and gentle. Yeah. Why else? Be kind with yourself too, because ego wants you to be mean. Like, oh, what, you made another mistake. You didn't think of your brother as Christ, and you were yelled at that person, and oh, it's taking you apart. You know, you just we're doing the best we can. And see, that's how I look at my brothers. That's that empathy and compassion. Everybody's doing the best they can, or they do different. That's the deal. So you do the best you can, but the big finish with that is and let go, which means let go to expectation and results. Do the best you can, let go. And then you adapt with Holy Spirit's help, and you make another decision, and it's in the flow. You're doing the best you can and let go, not being attached to the results or expectations of the future or dreaming in the past. But again, we do the best we can. That's why we're kind and gentle. Everybody doing the best they can. Yes, Barbie. That really upset me for a while. They're what? They're doing the best they can. They ought to do better.
Okay, remember when you said you love your brother regardless of his actions?
Yeah, well, you love your brother regardless, but you don't love the actions.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But I was reading something today, and it says, everyone is your teacher, and the most powerful spiritual practice is to hang out with the people who criticize you. It says, you don't even have to do that physically, since they live here right in your head. And when you think you've grown beyond all your defensiveness and justifications, then hang out with your enemies physically and see how lighthearted you are when they trash you. That's the real test.
Yeah, that is true. There's a story of some joke, I forget, some monk or some person, was in, a year or two retreat or whatever they were doing, and he needed to go back home. This is just, let's say, a Westerner that was in the East practicing, and it was standing in line at the embassy to get a visa or something for a couple hours, and then found out he was in the wrong line and lost it. But when he was, in retreat, Shante, he could be peaceful, right? But that's why we're talking about bringing this into our daily life and integrating it. And that's why sometimes now I watch the news. I quit watching the news for a long time, but now, like what you just said, how can I handle watching the news, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well put. Go ahead. You're muted again, Barbie. And welcome back, Barbie. She was ill for a little bit. We're glad you're back.
Okay. And then today's lesson, AMC's lesson 252. The Son of God is my identity.
Yeah, well, yeah. We keep practicing that. Yeah, we're the Son of God. We Christ, Buddha. Well, you guys are lovely, lovely, lovely people. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. You never thought or comment before I stop recording? Wow. Now, before I forget, then everybody look at the screen and practice advanced forgiveness on your brothers and sisters. And by that, you can simply say all of it to the person. And all of it means there's nothing else. You're Christ, Buddha, God. Or you say you are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, all is forgiven and released. You are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, all is forgiven and released. Or just say Son of God. That's all it takes. You just say that to them. You don't have to believe it. You just say it. Ultimately, you will believe it. Love you guys. Love you. Love you. I'm going to stop the recording. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you all. Isn't this wonderful? Okay, I'm going to